Hey, welcome to Spitball Beer Review. I'm Jammer.
Jammer fan, Garrett.
Uh, I don't know how well that worked out, but we're going to run with it. Hey,
Yeah,
it's great to get to see you again, Jammer fan, because there for
sure.
a while I was a little worried about you, buddy.
Yeah,
I mean, I literally was kind of concerned because I hadn't heard from you for like forever. And we had just was talking and everything about certain stuff. You know what I'm talking about.
yeah,
and then
yeah,
and then all of a
yeah,
sudden, boom, you went off the map there.
yeah. It's you know, talking to doctors. So doctors are great. You should have healthcare. Healthcare is awesome. But sometimes you get like messages from it makes you think like you're dying, and you have to like you're all of a sudden like, I'm never gonna have alcohol again. I'm never gonna eat a hot dog. My friend said if you ever eat he's like, dude, if you ever eat a hot dog again, you're gonna fucking die. And I was like, oh, and I was like, he's like, it's the nitrates and the nitrates. I didn't know there's both. I thought nitrates was the word, but there's also there's nitrates. You know what I'm talking about, Jared? Or
Oh my
I'm
god.
Jared. Fuck. See, I don't even know what's going on. There's so much pollution in the environment that like this is what this is what has come to, man.
It's crazy, man. The crazy thing about it is some. Don't get me wrong. America's great, wonderful, all that stuff, but
Yeah.
European, when it concerns food, the Europeans
We
are
were talking about that.
more.
I had those grains. It was like my first time ever having grains. I was like, oh, this is pretty cool.
They're more concerned with different kind of
Mm,
aspects of it.
yeah.
Chemicals,
Yeah.
flavorings, colorings, and all that stuff. Preservatives.
Sure.
They
Yeah.
eliminate a lot of that stuff.
Mm, yeah.
But here we are. I'm doing. Let's just go right into it. Energy City Brewing's Bistro Cabana Mango Passionfruit flavored Berliner style Weiss beer contains real fruit for full and consistent flavor. Invert and swirl before serving. Okay, so I'm inverting and swirling. You see that, Jammer fan, right?
I see it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That actually gives us something in common. My beer actually also has a little sediment that needs to be swirled a little bit.
Awesome. I much rather would have done the stout that I had with you, but hey, look at that, fucking overflowed.
It's not a problem, my friend. Not a problem at all.
Got a little excited. What you got?
Well, as we were talking on social media, you were like, hey, I'm doing a live video. Get what you got. And I
Yeah.
was like, what I got is like, unfortunate. So let's give the I'm gonna give the viewers a little bit of a couture d'état, as the French would say, and just be like, let's give them a little bit of background and be like, I was telling you that I'm saving up all my badass beer money and beers for the solstice on December 21st. I actually, that's when my vacation starts, and it goes all the way through New Year's Day. And I'm just like, I want to like have like badass beers, blah 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 blah. So I'm going to. Everybody hates this, but it's my old classic, Honey Brown. I can get it for $3.99 a 6 pack. 2.99 if you buy a 30 pack. It's $2.99
Awesome.
a 6 pack. So it's honestly, I'm a big fan of sparkling water because I like sparkling beverages. Like if I'm not drinking alcohol.
Mm.
And this is actually cheaper than most sparkling even water I get. This is like 34
Wow.
cents a can, out the door with tax. Out the door with tax, 34 cents a can.
That is amazing. That when you consider beer prices in general, I cannot get something for 34 cents a can here in Florida.
And it's because of the where I live. Like we live on a railroad track area. It's like that's so. the reason why you see Coors and all these brands come out of Colorado is that we have like a real rail system kind of coming through here, you know?
Yeah.
Um, so I don't know, it's cool, man. I also think that like so the liquor store I go to, there's this weird have you ever seen like how they draw the state lines and tax zones and areas? So the liquor store I go to, the it's supposed to be 7.4% tax, but somehow they have something where it's only 3.7 instead of
Oh,
7.4. And
well,
so
damn.
that's how they factor it in, how you can get like they have like a tax reduction thing based off their location and their geography where they can sell it for, so it's not even just go to any store to get this, that I'm factoring in that price with like, you know, this
Man.
tax deduction.
Well, I can tell you right now that is awesome because, like I said,
And I'm sorry, I don't Jammer, I want to apologize to you right now because your beer looks like a pineapple colada milkshake, and if anything, my stupid charade led to you now being able to drink that without a head or anything. Sir, go ahead and just drink your Hanapala Aloha like godly drink, sir. Drink
uh,
it.
I, I'm amazed at what this looks like. Yeah, I put off doing this one for the longest time, Jabberfair, because I just didn't know what to think of it. Mango passion fruit. I mean, uh, it is an orange mango looking. I mean, look at that. I mean, it
Yeah,
looks milky.
crazy,
It
man.
looks everything. No head, like you
Crazy.
said. Let me give it a sniff. That smells sour, actually. I don't even. Maybe a little passion fruit, but I don't even get the mango. It's just sour. I'm I'm pleasantly surprised by the. I'm using catchphrases here. Pleasantly surprised by by the disappointment that I'm going to experience here. I don't know. Let me go
Yeah.
ahead. I'll give it a sip, Jabber fan. I'm going to give it a sip. Hold on.
Be safe, my friend. Be safe. Be safe. Fuck. Oh god.
Amazingly, amazingly, it does taste like mango and passion fruit mixed together. It almost tastes like a fruit juice with a little carbonation.
I was worried, dude. I was ready to like just try to call 911 and be like, "This is where the last known location of Jammer was."
Yeah,
Like, you know, like it looked like you were gonna die. You're like, "All right, I'm doing this."
I'm actually pleasantly surprised by the fact that it does have those flavors that they're saying on the can. You know, I'm a big proponent of the fact that if you say what you're going to taste like, then it should taste like that. And it
Yeah,
does taste like a little mango and passion fruit, but it tastes
yeah.
more like juice than beer. I'm amazed by that. That it tastes more like juice.
You know what, Jammer? I found that. Can I slip off for 1 second and just give you a little bit of like my knowledge of beer that I've been
Mm.
sucking in as I've been like sucking down beers. So I've noticed that like the brewers of the world have been able to tame that tropical flavor more than they used to. It
Yeah,
used to be like you could bring in some juice and hope for the best, but I don't know if it's the natural flavors, right? So both of us know that like artificial flavors are all the gross stuff you don't want, but natural flavors, there's a gulf between organic ingredients and natural flavors, right? Like you don't really know if somebody says natural flavors what the fuck they're talking about, right? You tell me, you're an expert, Jammer. You're a fucking expert of the beverage industry.
I don't know about that, but yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I mean, the fact that you can make a beer like I've been going on for the past several reviews. I mean, I don't
Yeah,
know what it's
absolutely.
been
Yeah.
like, but the past several reviews that I've done, when you're brewing beer, it is a freaking art. I don't
Yeah,
care. I
yeah.
really want to push that fact that it is an art.
It's not
When
easy. I've done it, and it's so like if you were to review some of the bad beers I've done, you'd be like, "This is shit. This guy should fucking die." You'd be like, "I'm like, oh, like you'd be like, this beer is horrible." Like it'd be like an affront to mankind. Like
yeah,
people don't realize that. So Jammer, one thing you've always taught me when we've talked is just like the microbial realm, right?
yeah,
Like that beer is a living thing. Even some of the juices that you guys were doing, there's a certain amount of bacteria that's allowed in, a certain amount of fermentation. Like you're trying to control all that through temperature and storage temp
mm,
and all this stuff. It's all about bacteria and sugar levels. There's chemists involved, right?
oh yeah, yeah. I mean, that's the amazing thing about it. I mean, when you talk about brewing a beer and I mean the different you're off of a certain degree of
Yeah, yeah,
temperature. I mean, just a degree of temperature can throw it off a certain way to where it will cause a different taste, a different texture, just flavor in general. It will
yeah,
be completely skewed compared to what normal people would go for. I mean, and then on top of that, brewmasters, they go for what they like, but they also go for what they think the majority would like.
yeah,
And that is the amazing part. You're brewing something that you want the majority to like because you want to sell it. But you're also
yeah,
wanting something that you think was is good. So when you're involving different juices, different hops, different barley, different
sure, yeah,
malts and stuff like that, and yeast is a big thing. When you
yeah.
involve different styles of yeast and everything.
Oh, the yeast is big. I mean, all the big producers, they don't use any yeast that has any kind of character. So yeah, what we're talking about, even if you, what's crazy, Jammer, is even if you took like the dull processes of most of these places and you threw in a Belgian yeast or something, it could like liven up their whole line of beer, right? Like it's
Oh
crazy how
yeah,
much.
it is amazing. And you know what they have said time and time again on everything that I've ever studied and everything that I've ever read and viewed. They always say the same thing. Wine is one thing, it is complex to a degree, but
Yeah,
beer is exceptionally complex in comparison.
yeah,
And when you think about that, beer is usually considered the poor man's beverage
yeah,
compared to wine, which is seemingly always been compared to the rich man's beverage. And to think that the poor man's beverage is more complex than the rich man's beverage. I mean, I mean, think about it. It contradicts everything that you have ever been said or told to. You know.
well, can I give you at least a partial answer to that paradox?
Sure.
So yes, you're right. These complex strains and stuff, or at least specific strains, develop among the rich. But when you look back at the Egyptians, the way they developed beer was that the poor had these clay pots that they didn't defecate in. It wasn't like their toilet, but it was like their sink. It was like their kitchen sink. They would wash grains and they would wash things in there. And eventually these yeast developed, and that's where the first beers developed in these pots and stuff. Like never underestimate the poor,
Yeah.
right? Never
Yeah.
underestimate at least where it comes from, right? That it's springing forth from the wellspring. They call it the wellspring of the earth, right? Like
Yeah.
it comes up, it bubbles up, like, and you know it. But at the same time, the even the Bible will tell you that like man has to master this. They have to find these things, and that's how we got bread, right? We mastered these yeast. These yeast were there. We mastered them. We made ale. We made yeast. So then we're at
Mm,
where we're at right now, right? We're at this impasse. You very specifically talked about Jammer, where
mm,
bad beer, good beers bad beers? Like, who's using what kind of yeast and grains? Are we making some kind of Bud Light clone that we don't want? Are we making something so impossible, so craft that it's not able to be sold? We have to yeah, you're talking about the next generation of craft beer, which is trying to figure out a way to where everybody's happy.
Yeah, and the thing about it is that in general, flavor is very subjective. I mean,
Yeah,
something that you may like, I may not like. And things that you pick up on, I may not even think that they exist. I mean, that's the crazy part about it. And when you compare and bring together these different aspects and everything. All right, so Jammer fans think it tastes sour, but I think it tastes too sweet. And then this person comes along and says, "Well, yeah, it's right in the middle." I mean, it's absurd. It's crazy. It makes you think that everything is just out there, but in general, the majority may think, "Oh, yeah, I see all aspects of that, and I gather this." And so when you think about beer in general, it's very complex, and people don't understand that. And what really amazes me is that when you look through a lot of different categories of different
yeah,
things, the poor have always been the proponents of what becomes popular culture, popular mainstream, whatever you want to call it, soul food. It becomes a big thing, movies in general, the slang, everything becomes mainstream because of the poor.
wouldn't you say it's because they have the most generations of what works and what doesn't over and over and over again?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because you have a larger population of people cycling through that. I'm not trying to say that in any kind of derogatory way. I'm just trying to
No.
look mathematically, how does that exponential feeling or you know movement grow organically, right? And there is an organicness to
Yeah.
everything we're talking about.
Oh, yeah. I agree. I mean, I think
In
that's what it
fact,
is.
I would say that Bud Light, one of the reasons they are effing themselves right now, I don't want to get you guys banned, is that they don't understand the organicness of culture. Even if you don't agree with it, you have to understand what the organic nature of culture is telling you.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Jammer fan. I mean, let's face it. The whole thing with Bud Light is that they didn't know their consumer base. The base of their consumers have proven that you shouldn't go that direction. What they did, and all that
Yeah,
stuff, and then double down on it. I mean, you doubled down on it, and that made it even worse. I
yeah,
mean,
it
they
made it
they
worse.
say they lost only 20%, but when you see that Coors, Miller, and
Yeah,
Yingling each
it,
each have gained
it's
over 20% market
dude. Yeah,
share.
it's crazy. In Jammer, I'm gonna say right now that you're impressing me, dude, because I know a lot about the beer industry, but hearing you right now, I'm gonna give you credit just on this podcast. I don't care who watches it, it might be one person.
Mhm.
But dude, you know your beverage numbers, dude. You must I don't understand why, but you just you is it because you just want to understand your industry? How are you so in tune to this?
Well, I mean, one, I'm
I guess you could
in it.
ask me the same thing, right? And I would say it just because I'm crazy. That's my answer is I'm a maniac. But I want to know why. I want to know why you are so knowledgeable and such a badass. I'm
Well, I mean,
curious.
in general, I mean, one, I'm in it. I'm in the beverage industry. I know it. And
Yeah,
then two,
yeah,
I read all the statistics. I mean, Budweiser is saying Anheuser Busch is saying they only lost 20%, but then you
that's bullshit.
see
It's more like 40
Coors,
or 60, 40 to 60,
yeah,
right?
yeah, and then you see Coors turn around and say, "Well, no, we gained 20 something percent," and then you see Miller say, well, we gained 20 something percent. And then you see Yingling turn around. And Yingling, the American owned brewery of America. I mean, that's the only American owned brewery that's that big. Turn around and say they earn 20%. I mean, then you have to say, okay, what is the figures then? Because Miller and Coors say 20 something percent. And then, I mean, and you got to think, all right, so that's 60 something percent right off the bat. I mean, it's like, what the
Yeah.
hell? And then on top of that, they say, "Oh, what is that? What is that brand that took Bud
Goose
Light's
Island?
place? Bud Light's
Or
place.
who took what place?
Bud Light became secondary according to.
Natural light, natural ice.
No, it's a Spanish beer. It's
Oh fuck,
golly.
man, you're stumping me here, man. You're giving me like, because I feel like I'm on Jeopardy, and
Golly.
losing, and because I like Jeopardy, but I feel like I'm losing on Jeopardy.
I can't remember the name right offhand. It's not Dos Equis. It's
Modelo?
Modelo,
Oh, at
and
least I got that. Yeah.
yeah, Modelo is the number one brand in America now for beer. And the thing
I
about it
believe it. It's
is,
the Modelo Lager because it's got a good corn character with the pale malt.
but Modelo is owned by the same company that owns Anheuser Busch.
And nobody understands that, but does it really matter, Jammer? I mean,
Well,
if you think
what it
about
matters is if you're the person banning Bud Light, then
sure,
and you're trying to hurt Bud Light, then for you as the person that's banning that company, you wouldn't want Modelo to gain no matter what because it's the same company. It's not really hurting them because Modelo brand is now number one in comparison to Bud Light. What does it matter? You know what I'm saying?
sure,
Does
can
it
I
make
give you my
sense?
act
Yeah.
act counteraction to that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Is that if you really are worried about let's say a liberal agenda or some kind of liberal, like shift in media or whatever, um, it's almost not even worth your time thinking about what you're saying before.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't mean to. Oh, I always pause for PA Bruno's. PA
Yeah.
Bruno's. I just want to say I'm always like, let's read what he has to say.
We are all going to die from something. Do it with something you enjoy. Yeah. What you were saying, Jammer fan?
Well, he kind of implodes that because he says almost what I'm getting to, right? Like, um, all right, let's be honest, Jammer, for 1 second here. Would you say that like humankind's like survivability meter is pretty fucked up right now? Like,
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
like if I was somebody just being born, I'm like, oh, I'm an XYZ alien. I'm 2 years old. I'd be like, dude, you're fucked. Like, you're
Yeah.
fucked. You know what I mean? Like, I know climate change is so
Gen
loaded.
Z, Gen Y, G, whatever, you know.
Yeah, like you're gonna, you're gonna be it's very possible you're gonna get fucked in your face from
Yeah.
like even just being born. You're like, oh, um, but yeah, I don't know, man.
I
I
think
don't
in
want to take over
general.
your show. This is your fucking show, dude.
Oh no no
I
no
popped on.
no! When I invited you in, you know, I mean, you become part of it, man. You know, you are the glue. You know, you become part of the glue. So what I'm saying is, with these different breweries and everything, and Bud Light in comparison and all that stuff,
Yeah,
um, that's 60% market share that they possibly have lost. You know, and just 60%. All right, PA turned around and said something else. It gives us another 400.
Oh, good. I feel good now. 400 years. All right. I
Yeah.
feel better now, Jammer. Like,
Yeah, he said it, so it is, right?
no, I feel good. Probably another 40 years, but 400, I feel good, man. I feel good.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. But in general, I think that the fact that you know what kills me is that you get conflicting results, conflicting reports, and everything like that. But if you say that there's no reason to gain other than, I mean, if you look at the fact that Miller has nothing else to gain but market share and
yeah.
money, and if they didn't gain 20%, then their supporters, their stockholders would probably be upset, right? If you turn around and told me 20% and I didn't get 20% at the very least, then I'd be upset, right?
Exactly. 100%.
So
Yes.
so Miller says 20%, then Chorus say 20%, and then Yangling says 20%. At the very least, that's 60% that they gained because of Bud Light's debacle.
Well, can I interject something that I've been seeing in my own realm of things?
Yeah.
That all these like things you're throwing out, there's only so much. There's a pie. You can only have so
Yeah.
much percentage of the pie. And yeah, there's a collapsing um, because so I'm lucky, dude. The liquor store I go to, I had a friend refer me over to it, and he's like, it's the biggest liquor store in the area in like my little like zip code zone, because not only do we have like a lower tax rate, we're out of somehow we're only getting taxed by the city and not the state. It's some kind of weird tax zone thing, but also
Shh! Don't tell everybody.
it's legal though, dude. It's they advertise it. They say you'll save 3.7% by coming here. Anyway, long story short, I'm like, blah, 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 blah. Go buy liquor there. It'll be super fair. And you're just like, boom, boom, boom. You buy your liquor, you get a couple percent off, and it's cool. But PA Brew News is like, he's more important than what I have to say because this guy's
No, no, no,
probably the
no,
most
no.
important guy for the show almost. Like he
No, no,
right
you're
like
right there. I just thought I'd pop that up because he came on real quick.
No, I like seeing what this guy has to say, man.
Yeah, it says in court most stocks are based off of growth expectations, and right now, if there's companies that can't give the expectation of growth, the stocks will go to shit anyway, at least go stagnant. So yeah, I
Which will
mean,
probably it's not happening right this second, but it's gonna happen soon, probably, right?
oh
I mean,
yeah,
you
I
know,
mean if you don't have a company that can follow it up with actual action, then there you go. That's the thing. You can tell me what you. All right, every guy has had a girl in their life at one point or another say, "You tell me you love me, but your actions tell me otherwise."
yeah.
And that tells you right there that yeah, you tell me you love me, but your actions are telling me this or that or otherwise. I mean, in general, you can say what you want, but the words are this. This is your actions.
I have that happening in my own life right now because, like, I always feel like I need to do better. Like, if and I've seen this almost with you, Jammer. Tell me if I'm wrong, but like, you could be doing the best you've ever done, but you almost feel like an imposter or you're not doing enough, right? Like,
Yeah, exactly.
right?
Exactly.
It's always
Yeah.
that tinge. It's always on the outside of your mind. It's not like immediately you're like, oh, I've got success. I'm going to implode. It's just like when you're thinking about it, right? Like when
Yeah.
you're thinking
Exactly.
about, like, so honestly, I've had like a fucking, the past four sunsets I've watched in the past 4 days have been amazing and they've matched what you're doing. And that's in Colorado, but I know in Florida, because you're still in Florida, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You've had good sunsets too. So you know how it's like, dude, I feel like sometimes it's a state of mind, right?
Yeah.
Like you just need to like see Earth and smell the air. Like I feel
Well,
like if you can just
yeah,
go ahead.
I can tell you right now, Jammer fan, one of the things that I've embraced in my work life in general is that I'm having a great day. No matter
Yeah.
what, I'm having a great day. Not
Oh
that
yeah.
I will have or I've had, I
You're
am
having a great day.
having.
Yeah. No, you're owning it, man.
I'm owning it, and guess what happens?
You
Things
have a
are
good day.
amazing.
Your day is good.
That's the
Yeah.
amazing part. I'll say to myself, "Oh well, if this happens or this happens, well, it's what it is, what it is." But still, even if that happens, I'm having a great day. And guess
Yeah.
what happens? The positivity, positive
Yeah.
thinking,
It's you got
causes
to
me to
generate it,
have a
man. You
positive
got to
day.
generate it.
It's amazing. Uh, You wouldn't think that is true,
It,
but
it,
in
it seems like that. Remember when Oprah was going with that whole like thing, you manifest stuff, and I feel like it was tricking people on something kind of like we're talking about, but it's not. It's different, right? What
yeah,
we're talking about is like you're just literally stepping forward. You're stepping through the ooze of like fucking quantum physics. You're just manifesting what you want. You're just like, this is what I'm doing right now.
it doesn't matter what happens. Either way, I'm having a great day, and then nothing's going to cause me. What's that word? What's that phrase? Ain't nothing going to break my stride. Ain't nothing going to slow me down.
Hold me down. Ain't nothing
Yeah,
gonna hold me
me
down.
down. Oh
Oh,
no,
you got to keep on
move
moving.
it.
Yeah.
I mean, in general, that's what it is.
Yeah, if I get, man.
What do we got here? Okay, we saw that part.
PA Brews is really technical.
Let's look at this one.
Oh god.
Exactly. I'm positive my days will be negative. Yeah, but I mean, that is what helped me in general get through my day. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm I don't know if everybody knows this, but I'm in a situation where common sense and logical thinking completely is the opposite of what my company will do.
Yeah.
So if I go in thinking common sense wise and logical wise, this is
Yeah.
what I should do, and I think to myself, do the opposite, well, then that's all right because my company will do the opposite.
Yeah.
And that's the crazy part about it. It is true. And the other day that happened with the situation that we had where they were shutting down for a couple of days for
Yeah.
end of period and everything like that, so they could turn
Can I
around.
say one thing, Jammer, really quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
That these companies will completely ignore everything until it's an issue, and then all of a sudden they're jamming themselves into the matrix of how it all works, and they're like, oh, whoop, 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 they
Oh
sound the
yeah,
alarm, right? And they're like, oh, this is never mind. This is bad. We're not supposed to do this. And it's
exactly.
like, if you're an adult, it makes you feel like you're in preschool, right? Because you're like, what the fuck? Like,
Yeah,
this was obviously a bad thing, and now you're saying it's a bad thing, and we're all going to go have a corporate meeting where we all cross our arms and go, oh, I guess
yeah,
that was bad.
yeah. And then on top of that, they want to do employee appreciation, which means, all
Yeah.
right, so you're gonna give me a free meal. Whoop de doo. You're gonna turn
Yeah.
around and put my name in for a lotto for different things, tickets to a Rays game, tickets for this or whatever. It all comes down to the fact that it doesn't matter. I mean, uh, you obviously have already set the game. That's the thing. If you turn around and tell me these things, then you've already set the game limits, right?
Yeah.
So you already know what's going to be won and what's going to be said and what's going to be
It's like
done.
seeing the odds before you play the slots. And you're
Yeah.
like, why would I even do this? Like,
Exactly.
what's even the point of doing it?
Uh
But
oh.
then you know how they spice it up?
Yeah.
They show you on TV homeless people and people that are less than you that are suffering, and
Exactly.
in your mind you start to honestly make the connections that if I can pull back for a minute,
Yeah.
and that doesn't matter if you're um honestly, if you're liberal or conservative, it doesn't matter. Anytime the status quo is bullying you into a position where you feel like you got to pull back, it doesn't matter what side you're on.
Yeah.
Like, you have to, like, and
Exactly.
and honestly, Jammer, one thing I'm fucking pissed. I'm just gonna say it. I'm fucking pissed that Gen X is being labeled as like super like MAGA fascist Nazis. Because, dude, you and Shagdog have always had like very altruistic, like, ideas about humanity. You guys have never been like super far right, and you
No,
guys are
no, no.
definitely Gen X. I won't lie about that you guys are Gen X, but like, I'm pissed that like you guys are always labeled in that zone. Am I wrong and being mad about that?
No, no, no. I mean, here's the thing. You want to put people in categories, and that actually is bad. I mean, I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah,
It's like
it's
my
bad.
company says
Whatever
they're
you're.
trying to meet quotas and everything. Oh, we want so many women to do this. But the thing is if you want that, then you need to promote that. I mean, all right, like what you were saying. What exactly were you saying again? Just remind me real quick.
Well, that like regardless of your political affiliation, there's some areas we're gonna flip or flop to, right?
Yeah.
But that we need to maybe have a little more, I don't know, plan to fail. Maybe reaching out to the other side, like, yeah. I mean, maybe Jammer, we are Jammer fan, Gen X. Well, no, is that positive? That definitely describes me, Jammer fan, Gen X for life. Is that a positive thing he's saying?
I don't know. I mean,
He says
I
that definitely describes me, Jammer fan, Gen X for life. I feel like that's maybe positive, but at the same time, there's a lot of toxicity about what we're
let me
talking
put it
about.
this way, Jammer fan. There's a lot of people and different generational views and um, categories
Yeah,
that would agree. I mean, look at you. You're younger than me. You know what I'm
yeah.
talking about. You actually, PA Brew News, same thing. Oh shit! I just
Uh,
spilled that fucking beer all over me.
dude, I spilled a beer while we were talking earlier, so we both. Dude, I spilled a whole entire fucking beer while we were talking. I think I disguised it, but we are
All right.
Jammer,
Well,
we are on the
that
same. No, we just don't even. You don't even stop it. Like, just keep going, dude. Like, I
that's a
had to
B
mop it up.
and a full swallow. Because it is that good. I mean, it does taste like mango and a passion fruit and everything, but it's a bee and a full swallow. Anyway, what I was saying is that in general, I think a lot of people have different views of it or anything, and they can
Yeah,
find common ground in general.
yeah.
But the fact is that society doesn't want you to find common ground. Society wants you to avoid common ground. They want you to be at odds so that you are constantly in conflict. That you constantly cannot. Uh, well, you cannot constantly entertain the fact that you may have some commonality in the person that you have conflict with. You
So,
know what I mean?
Jammer, that's an amazing point that you make. The fact that I look like Grizzly Adams, I feel like I can like I'm able to like make a side point and say
Yeah.
that um you know maybe there's a way we can look at everything you just said and find a plane of existence where everybody can kind of come together and maybe talk about it. Like I feel like conservative media just wants us all to tear each other apart like fucking like hyenas, you know?
Well, my view of it is that if I am the puppet master, I'm the ultimate person.
Yeah,
If I can keep you at conflict with so and so, then you don't realize who's pulling the strings.
yeah,
I mean, think about that. You don't realize who's pulling the strings because I keep you at conflict at knowing whether or not
yeah.
this person is the same as you,
True.
right?
And the only reason it looks so dramatic on my end is I'm trying to my charger before my so this is like a fun moment for everybody at home.
Mm-hmm.
Like, will he make it to his charger? I think I will. Oh.
Yeah, I just think in general that's what it is. You know, if I can keep you at conflict, then you won't see what's really going on. You become distracted by the issues at hand. I keep you fighting this person, then you won't really know who's the puppet master.
Oh man, PA Bruno's is really mad.
He's right there with it,
But
though.
like what he's saying, I understand what he's saying though. I understand what PA Bruno's is saying. I mean, like he's not like targeting anything at the channel or us. He's
No,
just
no.
like he just mad about what's going on, man.
He knows it. I mean, that's what the thing is. The new age hate labels and really thrown at me. It's the same thing. I mean, my company, like I said, if you truly want equality, then why are you going so far to the. All right, I get it. At one point in time, you needed. Uh, all right, so at one point in time, there was this situation where you had people who would not allow you in and go to a certain direction, right? So
Yeah.
you turn around and go the opposite direction, and now you allow people in, but they also have a certain direction where you cannot. I guess what I'm trying to say is that discrimination. You discriminate one way, and you discriminate another way, and you discriminate this way here, it's bad, but you discriminate this way, you have to also think I'm discriminating against you. I'm discriminating against everything, and it's helping my people. But I'm discriminating you because, and in general, it's discrimination either way. If I want it to be equality, like you claim you want, then I need to stop that discrimination in general, and I need to say, okay, it you or equality in the sense
Yeah.
of this what I'm saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jammer fan. I mean, jump in at any moment. But
Actually, I'd be happy to jump in if you want
go
me to
ahead,
jump in. I really want to jump in.
go ahead.
Um, what you're really describing is poly duality.
Yeah,
All right. So it's when you simultaneously see something from somebody's point of view, but you're also like hit with all the bad parts of that point of view. This
yeah,
poly duality, it makes it hard to even do a review or whatever, right? Because you're getting in this, you get mired in exactly what you're talking about right now. And you know what? It's easy in a poly duality to feel like guilty. Like, dude, Jammer, like honestly, like you are some I would almost consider you liberal almost on how much like you are very sensitive about subjects, right? Like
oh
every time I hear you talking about subjects with Shagdog, you're like, let's tone it down, let's take the politics down. Like you're very much like so this poly duality, it does prey on our guilt, right? It makes us
yeah,
feel like we're not giving people the fair due that they're supposed to be given. But I will say that my interaction with you and my interaction with the channel, you are more than fair, and I would say just just do your own thing, man. I fully support being behind you and being like, Jammer, dude, you really can lead a conversation and you really can guide us where we need to go and where our narrative's going. So I appreciate you, man, and I want to let you know that I'm just like, boom, let's get it done.
Well, my thing is that uh, let's stop being political groups. Let's stop being parties. Let's stop doing
Yeah,
all that other stuff, and let's just be humans. Let's be people.
yeah,
I mean, I don't. You know, if you really and truly embrace what America is supposed to be like, then
yeah.
let's just go ahead and say it for what it is. I believe in freedom. I believe in your right to choose. I believe in your right to be whatever you want to be. And if I believe all that, then I have to turn around and say, okay, so you want to be right wing or left wing or whatever like that? That's up to you. That's your choice. That is your belief. That is your choice. Do it. Do what's right for you. It's just like when they talk about gay life and all and all that stuff. You know what? I'm not the one who has to be the one that if you go in a religious aspect of it, you have to be the one that turns around and justify your behavior. Well, guess what? That's not up to me. If you want to be gay, if you want to be transsexual, if you want to be this or that, that's you. You live life the way you want to live life. You choose it.
Sure.
You choose that and you live it because that's not me to decide. That is your decision. Right? I mean, let's face it. That is your decision. And if that is your decision, and if it's truly your decision, then who am I to get involved in it? I don't know what to expect after this life. I don't know what to expect if you were to pass away tomorrow and everything like that. Whether it's right or wrong or whatever, it doesn't matter. It's what you believe. So, I I don't know how more to say it, but you know, America is about freedom. America's about freedom of choice, freedom to believe whatever you want to believe, freedom to do whatever you want to do. As long as it's not hurting others, what does it matter?
All right, Jammer, you have a great point. Let me ask you this: can I have your permission to give you a response that at least encapsulates the people on the other side a tiny bit, just
Sure,
to
sure.
challenge you even a little bit?
Go for it.
Yeah, and I'm not saying these are my spouse beliefs, but I think these people on the other side, um, it's in a way they feel they need to express themselves. I had a friend that was working for a uh, animal relief center. I will call it that. They're trying to stop animals from like cats and dogs from being killed and stuff,
Yeah.
right? And they were just telling me about like the right of a being to exist however it wants, no matter what. It doesn't matter what the fuck you think. That was one of the most um, potent sentences ever said to me. Was it doesn't matter what the fuck you think. If I want to live, fuck you.
Yeah.
So what do you think about that? Like, what if somebody wants to live so much? I mean, where are we to stop their agency to do that? And at what point are we segregating these? Um, I don't know.
Well, the thing about
Shit.
it is that if you go
Yeah. Sure.
to the whole abortion and life and all that stuff, I'm sorry to tell you, but life begins the moment that The sperm enters
I believe
the
that too, and I'm not even debating that.
yeah,
I'm more just debating the value of a human life.
yeah. Well, if you
And
value
when
human life in general, then you have to stop and say that if you value that human life, that you will not let human life just be dismissed. I mean, I'm sorry. If human life begins at the time the sperm enters the cell and creates it, and let's be honest, politics aside, the sperm enters the egg and it causes reaction. That's life, right? Let's be
yes,
honest.
so Jammer, I will say that. But can I do a second? Let's be honest to you.
Sure,
Can I
sure.
reflect it back to you?
Yeah.
Would you at least say that those women deserve social safety nets to make sure they can get, nutrition to their kids? Is that fair? Is that fair enough?
I think it's perfectly fair to think that, okay, it, granted,
And
I
let's
mean,
qualify it. Let's look at income. They already do that, dude. I've told you that like I ran into I don't care if the internet knows this. I ran into a hard time and I had to use local healthcare, Medicaid stuff to get me cured of what I need. And I paid into that. I'm
mhm,
42 years old and I paid into that for my whole life. So
yeah,
if I have to take out of it, okay, cool. I paid into it,
there's
right? Am
nothing
I
wrong with
wrong in
that.
using that?
No, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with you actually using the services that are provided for you to be able to use in case of that such a type of situation. Let's be honest
Sure.
about that. Let's face the facts. That's what the programs were designed to do.
Originally, and would you say the big thing we're arguing about is they've been perverted beyond what they were supposed to do?
Yeah, I think in general that everything has been perverted beyond and perverted for
I agree with
different
that. Yeah,
groups.
at
Yeah.
the current time, yeah,
I think in general, most people don't want to take assistance in any kind of way. Most people want to do it on their own or with their help with their family or friends. They don't want the government to get involved. But when it comes time and there's no other choice, yes, you take assistance because you paid into it. That's the whole thing
yeah,
about it. Once you're
for
working
sure.
and once you're doing everything, you're paying into that. That's the whole
Sure.
crappy
Yeah.
thing, that people don't realize. You're paying into that, and so when you have to call upon it to help you in a time that you need it,
Mhm.
you've already paid into it. So
Yeah.
you actually deserve it because you paid into it. I mean, that's
Yeah. And it gets cloudy when you're talking about immigrants and others.
yeah, and
I
not
get it.
not only that,
I
but people
understand.
who have been generational, people who have been on
Sure.
the system for generations because they don't know any better. Here's the problem, Jammer fan. You have a certain figure, let's say 13,000. I don't know what the figure is, but let's say 13,000 is poverty, right?
Yeah.
Well, 13,000 means that well, you qualify for housing, you qualify for daycare for your kids, you qualify for entertainment, you
Mm.
qualify for food, you qualify for everything as every aspect of life. You qualify for the government to help assist you. But once you go to 13,001, well, guess what? You have to pay for everything.
Yeah.
So if you get a job making more than say 13,000, say you make a job earning 15,000, and you have to pay for everything, and it costs you 3,000 to pay for it. Well, 13,000 it would have cost you nothing, but at
Yeah.
15,000
No,
it
I've had
costs
the
you
same thing. It's the
13,000.
Medicaid trap. It's
Yeah,
the you're staying with the Medicaid trap is, and I've talked to my family about this, and it doesn't make any sense. There should be a tiered system to help somebody get off of it, right?
yeah. It should be a level where if you
Yeah.
are to a point improving your life and you're getting more money, then you shouldn't be deterred from excuse me, you shouldn't be deterred in the sense that it's going to cost you 4,000, even though at 13,000 it wasn't costing you anything. But now you're making 15,000, but it's going to cost you 4,000.
Yeah.
Which means it's going to cost you 2,000 at you know what I'm saying. Uh, it costs you more money than what you're making at 15,000 than what you were at 13.
And you know what's worse, man? What's worse is that my degree in all the stuff I've done has trained me to do an advanced job.
Yeah,
And all of a sudden, because of AI and other things in this economy, these like jobs aren't there. But like,
yeah,
I didn't like, do anything wrong in society, right? Like, I'm not
no,
some crackhead on the street throwing bottles at cars, being like, I'm just
that's
some
the
dude
other
who's
thing.
just like, I went to college, I did what I thought I was supposed to do, right?
Yeah, that's the other thing. You're penalized for doing what you thought was right and what they told you was right to do. Hey,
Yeah, what they said to do, what my parents even said to do,
go
right?
get a college education. Go do this, da 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 da, and then you turn around and go do it, and then you're in debt, and you're not able to get anywhere because of the situation.
And luckily, I know enough about finances that I'm paying double or triple my payments on stuff that has interest. I'm paying things down.
Hmm.
I'm getting myself to a position where I'm better, but like it still is kind of like, hey, what the fuck, right? Like there's that what the
Exactly.
fuck, you know.
It just drives me crazy because everything is contradictory. Everything is the opposite. It's like Seinfeld in the reverse
Yeah.
world.
The bizarro,
Seinfeld
the bizarro, yeah, the
yeah,
bizarro world. Yeah.
yeah. Because in general, you know, what you think is right and what you think you should do and all that stuff is completely opposite from what
So
they are
I
telling you
have
to
a
do.
question for you. Are you a fan of Seinfeld? Are you a fan just in general?
I like Seinfeld.
I mean,
I
are you
enjoy.
aware of it? Like, are you like aware of the
Oh,
Seinfeld?
I'm aware of it.
All right.
I'm entertained by it completely. I
So
completely
so the
relate.
other day I was telling Julia, Julia is at this
Yeah,
point,
yeah,
she's my partner. So
yeah,
um I was laughing. We saw, who Putty is? He's that guy who's like
yeah, yeah,
with a lady, he's like, hey. Like, so I do a really good Putty. I'm like, hey Elaine, how you doing?
yeah,
Cool. Like I can do like that, like, that like Putty kind of thing.
yeah,
Well, I'm not sure if you're aware of this or not, but like in the mid 2000s or even early 2000s, I'm talking like 2003, the CW, like the CW network,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, they hired Forrest Whitaker to come on and do Twilight Zone. They're like, we want to do our own Twilight Zone series. So it's produced by the CW, Twilight Zone, and they got a whole bunch of like they got Jason Alexander and the guy who played Putty to come on. They got like a bunch of like really good actors to come on to the series. And Julia didn't believe me, and I was like, "No, there's this episode of the Twilight Zone where that Putty guy, the guy who's like, oh, Elaine, whatever,
Yeah.
like that guy, he they get that guy to play Conan the Barbarian. So the episode is like my barbarian savior or something like and guess who they get to play the fucking kid?
Who?
Kieran Culkin, like the kid who was in the not the Sixth Sense, but what's that alien invasion movie? Signs. Have you ever seen that movie Signs?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Signs.
And that kid who has asthma and he's like, I'm dying or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
All right, sorry, man. I feel like I'm like looking at our live thing, and I'm like, I'm hoping I'm not cultivating a
No,
sense
no,
of like lameness because you seem to be like, I
no.
don't know
No.
about this.
I tell you what I'm doing. I'm setting up an image.
All right.
I'm
I don't know what
sorry.
that means.
I was setting up an image for the next video because we're already at an hour here.
All right. Well, you should have told me that. Why didn't you? How about can we just do that? How about we just transition? Why don't we take a break? Why don't we transition to the next video, bro?
I'm all for that. We'll go on to the next video. I got another beer. I can do the other video and
I got another
everything.
beer, and I can do that too. Why don't we just do that, man?
All right, let's do that. Let's go ahead and close this one out and go to the next one.
All right. Peace, brother.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and close it out. Thanks for watching, commenting, subscribing, liking, and sharing. I'm Jammer. That man right there. Oh, sorry. There. Oh, sorry. There. It's Jammer Fan. We will be right back as soon as I can upload another, we'll be right
Link.
back. Yeah. Thanks for watching, commenting, subscribing, like, and share. That didn't work. What the hell was that? All right, Jammer Fan, here we go.